It's a good idea to set some of your clay aside in a plastic bag so that you can use it later. I want to start with a smooth ball and then poke my thumb into it. Pretty far in, but not so far it pokes out the other side. Start pinching at the bottom and then work your way up, turning it in circles. Careful not to get the edge too thin. No thinner than my pinky and no thicker than my thumb. And once I get it to that basic shape, I've got my creature. Here's the mouth. The next thing I want to do is to create the basic texture. So if I want it to be smooth, I can smooth it with my finger. If it's getting kind of dry like this is, I can smooth it with a wet finger. Be careful, if it gets too wet, it will crumble. All right, so now I have it smoothed out. I can add texture to it later if I want. But you don't actually have to make a monster. You could just make a bowl and add texture or decoration to it. Then if you glaze it properly, you can actually eat out of it or drink out of it. Okay, so if this is my monster, and here's my monster's mouth. If I want to make teeth, rather than trying to stick little teeth on, it works out better if I make the teeth by basically pinching a little tooth. And I could use a tool. To create these teeth. Okay, so with this monster, I'm going to put 2 eyeballs on the top. Another way to add teeth is to first attach a ball. Wet the toothbrush, tap, tap, tap. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Squish it together. Push out all the little bubbles and blend by moving clay from one side to the other. Smooth out those rough spots. Then I can shape it into any kind of tooth I want, as long as it is not too thick or too thin. And if it's too big, just cut some parts off. Remember, it's always easier to take some clay away than it is to try and add it later. Okay, I'm going to roll out some eyeballs. Now, I don't want the eyeball to be too big. It should not be thicker than my thumb. So I'm going to need to make this a little bit smaller. There's one eyeball. Ooh, I think I want to make one eyeball bigger than the other. On purpose, because it's a monster. And I'm going to get my toothbrush wet. Tap, tap, tap. I'm going to scratch in the sections I want to put it. I want to put the eyeballs right there and right there. Scratch it up. Scratch both sides. Scratch that. Smoosh it on. If I just leave it like this, it's going to fall off. Ooh, there's my monster. So what is helpful to do is that this little line, I call this blending. Basically, I take my tool and I erase that little line so that the 2 parts become 1 part. I can smooth it down if I need to. Once it's smoothed out, I can reshape that eye if I want. I could make it a long alien eye. And if I wish that I had that line there, I can add it back in. Imagine that I want my monster to have on the back here. I'm going to create a piece. I don't want it to be too thin. And I'm going to scratch to attach this. So scratch, scratch, scratch. Can you see that? I'm attaching it, I'm squishing it. The water's pressing out, the clay is pressing out. I'm blending that edge. Oh, maybe it's gonna be a little tail. Let me see. Oh, I could use this as a tool, actually. If I press here, I can create like, make these spikes. Oh, here he is, my little monster. Okay, be careful not to get the tail too small, too thin. I'm trying to keep it a little bigger than my pinky so it doesn't become fragile. Yay, there's some scales. And at the very end, to keep his mouth from dropping shut, I'm gonna take some paper towel or Kleenex and shove it in there. So this can, I can keep it in the position I want it to be in while it dries. Once I put this in it, this is gonna start drying it out. So at this point, I better be pretty much done. Oh, I almost forgot. Put my name on the bottom. Monster complete.